name's Katie Bevan, and I'm buzzing to be joined by Danny and Harry from McFly today for the Student Music Network. How are you guys?
We're good, Katie. How are you?
Yeah, really good. I mean, as I was just saying to you, like I am on a high as a McFly fan. Like this is a very good time to be a McFly fan. Like so excited about it. We will dive just straight in to talk about God of Rock and Roll. I know that you've spoken about like really honing in on being a guitar band. So I just wanted to know a bit more about like the process behind that. Was this one of the first tracks you recorded? Was it kind of later in the process? What was it like for you?
Yeah, well, so I think just to give a bit of context to this album, obviously we've always kind of, made guitar music, but I think over the years there's been times where we've kind of been a bit lost. And I think our last album, which, we're proud of and we really love it, our reflection on it was that it was a bit of a mismatch of songs and didn't really know what it was. So when we came to record this album, we were very much like, had a sort of not a, like identity crisis as a band, but like, this sort of frustrating feeling of like often to do with sort of, how we're people react to us live, and we wouldn't get the same reaction maybe to our music, recorded music. So we thought, how can we recreate how we sound live, which is where we feel like we're at our best, on an actual record. And what is important to us about McFly? Why do we love being in McFly? Why do we think our fans like our band? And everything came back to live music and guitars and drums, and it was a really big moment for us to kind of go like, yeah, right, let's do it. Like it's time to make a proper, just band recording album. We've not really done that since Radioactive, and this is like a whole another level from that. So yeah, we've got songs on this album that I'm so excited to have, like these songs from McFly. Like I just can't believe some of them. I'm so buzzing. And God of Rock and Roll, which is like the first official kind of release, was the last song that was written for the album. A lot of the influences were, like Van Halen and Kiss and a lot of sort of 80s rock bands that, great melodies but have guitars. But we only had a couple of songs on the album that really, had that feel. And so Dougie was kind of still plugging away, even though we'd finished the album. And we had this God of Rock and Roll idea, which is he had the outro of the song. He had this idea, and I think showed it to Tom, who got really excited, and then had an idea for the chorus, and then Danny produced it, and we kind of all just finished it off together. And it just really encapsulated what we'd originally tried to achieve with this album, which is like big melodies but big guitars, solos. Like the fun of like the fun of being in a band basically. And yeah,
we also had the artwork to the album by this point.
Okay.
And I remember Dougie saying, "This song is literally the artwork. We're describing the artwork of the album. It's perfect." Because we were caught up on a story that James Bay told us when he was like, he said that "Hold Back the River" was the last song he wrote. He said never stop writing, and we found that quite interesting. So we didn't, and we had a moment where we were like, "Oh shit, God of Rock and Roll is here."
Love that. Top tier. And I wanted to ask you, Danny, actually, because I know that you produced it and it's one of like several tracks on the album that you've produced. Was that a conscious decision going into this project that you were like, oh, I want to be heavily involved in that, or did it just kind of happen?
Well, it's a good question, that, because the last album, Young Dumb Thrills, I got too involved in the production, and I feel like I just wanted to be a band member again. So this album, I spoke to Jason. I was like, mate, just let me be in the band and I'll just dive in, when I can. But it kind of happened organically. I think giving myself that release from, being kind of the producer for a second almost allowed me to produce easier. I don't know if that makes sense,
yeah.
But the first half of the album, we came in and there was a bit more, I suppose, a little bit more pressure on that because the producer was here, Jason was here, and we had the songs and we were kind of getting it all together. And I just ended up, casually kind of producing these other songs and without any of the pressure of being on an album or being a single. And I think that's really worked.
Stepping away. It's like anything, like sometimes when you write something, you need someone else to write it and then, or like read over it. And then you're like, oh, okay, I've seen it a different way. Like sometimes you just have to take that step back and then you do it better. It's weird how that
Exactly.
works.
You have this thing of like, your best needs to be like the world's best, and sometimes you just got to go in it and just do it without overthinking it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's how you get the best work.
And I know that the opening line, which you're going to get asked about all the time, I'm aware of that, but that I'm the number one at making bad decisions. Obviously, it's, you know, already a big TikTok sound and stuff. I wanted to know, though, if there's a bad decision that you've made in an interview, just so we can avoid it today. You know how, like, Tom Holland, he's always, like, revealing spoilers for Spider-Man and Marvel. Anything like that ever happened to you? I'm curious.
Oh, God. That's why I normally stay quiet.
Yeah.
Leave it to Tom and Harry to do the talking. We've had, I think the worst for us is when we get the giggles in unnecessary, like horrible, serious situations. You know, like when you're like in assembly at school and you'll get the giggles. It could be a reaction of someone, or it could be something that we just randomly find funny, but you can't say anything because there's like a, you know, there's a serious interview going on, you know. So I think that's the worst.
That's always the thing, though, isn't it? It's always when you're not meant to be laughing, or like when you're not meant to be coughing, like those moments where you've got to be quiet. That's when it comes out. So, okay, that's good. I'm glad there's been no traumas. I didn't want to make you relive it. But yeah, I know that we've spoken about the album a little bit. Power to Play, out on June 9th. I'm very happy. It's my birthday on June 10th. So thank you. Perfectly fine. But I know that you said it's a chance to bring together kind of all of your guitar heroes. It's something you touched on earlier as well, Harry. Is there a chance of, like, you know, the game Guitar Hero? I want like a Guitar Hero McFly collab. Some people dream of having their songs on FIFA. I think you need to give that game a resurgence with this album.
Definitely. There's like 6 or 7 songs in this album where Danny's like just absolutely shredding. So yeah, and there's big riffs on this album. Yeah, I'd love to see some of these songs on something like that. I think it's a lot of fun as well, and hopefully, like, we want to inspire some people to pick up guitars and learn how to play. And you know,
there's a guy on Instagram already learned it, and he's absolutely smashed the solo. Normally when you put stuff out like that, they either don't get it quite right, or they do their own interpretation of it, or it's not quite to that. This guy is arena stadium level playing the solo.
He's ready. And the song was debuted like an hour and a half ago, and like an hour later he posted him playing the solo. Absolutely, like an absolute smash.
We're very impressed.
Does that make you nervous, or is that like sick? I've got an understudy. Like, how are you feeling?
Well, he beat me. He did it in an hour. I did it in 3.5 hours.
Okay.
And it took me to also jump up and down on this sofa we sat on, get the adrenaline to go fast enough, you know, to be like.
I guess we don't know if he has the vocals. So hopefully, with all due respect, he doesn't have the vocals, so you don't need to be stressed. We'll say that. And I know as well you're going out on tour, so many things happening. You're going all across the UK in October and November. I think it was starting in Bristol, ending in Nottingham. Your first ever show though at Alexandra Palace, that has to be a great feeling, like 7 albums in and you still get to do stuff for the first time. And like to play Ali Pali, like that's just going to be mental.
Well, yeah, I think that was a big thing for us with this tour. It's like, you know, it's like new territory kind of with this album, new music. Like we pushed ourselves and doing things we didn't think we would be, maybe, I don't know, people would take seriously enough. Or the same thing with this tour. We're like, how do we want to be like, how do we want to put this music across live? And so the venue choices were like really important to us. And, you know, we want just like full standing shows and just, yeah, create a new experience for someone that's seen us live and something new for us. It's the kind of shows that we enjoy the most as well, like just big energy shows. This is our kind of a new, you know, sound, I guess, isn't it?
I think for me as well, it's like it's just a way to tell the story and the kind of plan of it. And these, like Harry said, these songs need to be in certain places to start with. Like, you know, we can get to arenas and stadiums later, but we were really conscious of like where to put this and for it to keep its personality and to keep what we created here and in our heads, the vision we had for it. It keeps it in that kind of role, if you know what I mean, in that area. And these are the exact, like Ali Pali is the perfect place. There's some amazing people played it, especially like on the rock scene. And for us to take, this album and Power to Play tour, in there, and all the other venues like Rock City and stuff like that, even though like I've been getting tweets this morning just saying, oh, you're playing this in Glasgow, you're playing here, and it's going to be carnage. It's exactly what we want. We want that kind of energy around this, to create, well, one, a hot ticket, and two, put it in the right places.
Yeah, I was going to say for sure, like those tickets are going to be so hard to get hold of.
Well, we want our hardcore fans. We want people at that show that have listened to this new album back to back. Sometimes, like, we're so lucky to still be able to do arenas but sometimes we feel like when we do those bigger shows or like the bigger festivals, there's people that are like, oh yeah, I'd love to come see McFly, and we sort of have to play the hits and stuff, which is great, and we're so grateful for that. But I think this time we really just want to make sure people are coming. Like, you're going to hear the new stuff, It's
the Springsteen that I always remember Springsteen saying this. It's like every time I have a new album, he's like, even though I can sell out an arena, I play a theater. And when I can sell out a stadium, I play an arena.
Yeah, I think it's like, yeah, we want like every song we've been playing and like rehearsing, like they're fun, up tempo, like in your face songs, and it needs to be the right setting for it.
And my final thing actually was leading on from that about the live gigs, because I was at, ironically, the first one night only gig at the O2, but we won't go into the fact that you did that twice. I was at the first one, and the saxophonists were in like these alien costumes. And I'm not gonna lie, it made me really regret I gave up saxophone after grade 1. And I had a moment that night of like, if I'd stuck with this, that could have been me. So I was just curious, more costumes, more of that, or is it really just honing in on the guitars?
I think for us, this is about like really fitting in with the album that we've just made. Like, it's gonna just be like some sweaty rock shows, and yeah, like, we love that side of McFly and having fun, but I think we're just parking that for a little bit and just kind of like fitting in with the what's the tour called? It's like Power to Play. We're just we want to just hit people with a juggernaut of like guitars and drums and just have an amazing, powerful show. That's the plan.
I think it's also like focusing on what inspired us from the beginning. Because like Harry said, like sometimes we sit right on the fence of like trying to be a commercial band, but we function like a rock band. So we've always had the same influences. It's just how we've kind of sold it. And this allows, like, sometimes you just got to, like, exactly with the production thing, just step back from it and go to the core of what inspires us. And this tour will be all about like all the rock bands that inspires us. Springsteen just has blue lights, or if you go and see Kiss, they have like massive racks of lights. And it's going back to that because I feel like that is the personality of our band. And like Harry said, we'll never forget the fun side of it, of course, but it's just taking, kind of stripping it back and going like, what is the core influence here? Let's get the music right. Let's get the sound right. And then we can do the fun stuff a bit later.
Yeah, sometimes you're kind of like influenced by your success, and like your success can be the thing that sort of holds you back of taking like risks and things, because you think, oh, but people want this side of McFly, or do people want this, or should we be like that? And like that show you're referring to, like that is like a McFly sweet spot. Like, it's got a bit of everything. But I think this time we're like, we don't really want any of that. We just want to go and really just, focus on just putting on amazing like show with the music. I don't know. You'll see. You'll see.
I mean, buzzing. Like, I'll try my best to do that. I'm running up that hill.
Like, if you look back at like like MTV VH1 in the 80s, all those stages, and like they were all like stadium bands, and it's like it's going to be massively influenced by that, of course, but that was pop back then. That was the pop, and we're just kind of celebrating that, really.
Yeah, I'm just, like I said before, so excited about it. Thank you so much for giving up your time as well to talk to us about it. Thank you both. Good luck with the album. Good luck with the tour. And yeah, just loving it. Keep smashing it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all right. Cheers, guys. So nice to chat.
Bye. See you later.